Well, hello everyone, whoever you are, whenever this is that you're hearing from me. This is for Inner Worlds of Meditation, and it's from a couple of conferences. I think they were both successive years with several hundred people attending and participating. With John Roger myself conducting, presenting various aspects of the Inner Worlds of Meditation. So I'm going to make this up, but it's something like in our consciousness there might be 1,000 questions about inner worlds of meditation, and we've distilled it down to, it looks like 7 with a subset. So I'm just going to go with the questions in order here. What do you want to say to students taking this for the first time? Welcome. Well, I have biases, so I consider my biases, it's a very going towards most intelligent choice to participate in these works, to participate in the teachings, to develop your own awareness. It's also in the Christ consciousness. I consider that a non-religious term, and that's something, if you don't understand what I mean by that, I'd encourage you to familiarize yourself with the teachings. And also I think it's especially valuable if you're not familiar with the movement of spiritual inner awareness and you haven't maybe taken the class ever. It would work beautifully. How did Inner Worlds of Meditation workshop come about? Well, what comes to mind immediately is John Roger and his works, the works of the movement of spiritual inner awareness through the years. So there are many of those recordings that were made available long ago with various meditations, but it very much directly relates to spiritual exercise, which is a core aspect of what we do in the movement of spiritual inner awareness. What makes this workshop unique from other MSIA offerings? Well, if I'm being a good promoter, I say, well, this is the best workshop ever. There couldn't be anything finer than what this is. And so we've distilled it after all these, not just in Jared's lifetime, but let's just say through the mystical traveler consciousness, through the travelers of the ages, and here we go. It's the best of the best. So knowing that, I think you'd want to be there. The uniqueness also is I'm co-facilitating, so I kind of look at it, that's rare. And what I discovered, because I wasn't really expecting this when they gave me the materials to look over and look at what was the best of the best and bring that to you, that there was what I would call outtakes. So there was a lot of antics, there were a lot of spontaneous moments. My version of that is it was very funny, very interesting, maybe even compelling at times, like, what are they doing? When are they going to do what I came here for? And things like that. But in some way, maybe it's just like, we'll take a little break now and let John Roger and John Morton do some antics on stage and see what happens. So there's some things like that that are going to be part of what we're doing. What was your experience facilitating with JR? It's like a gamut. It's sacred. I find that that's always on, regardless of the external expression, whatever the conditions are, the sacred, magnificent teachings. And then it's my privilege, honor to share that in some way, contribute that in some way. John Roger is the most interesting fellow. I'm sure you know that already at some level. And it's just the kind of thing, and I'm sure if they show some of what I already have seen as part of the workshop, at least approved, that you're going to be surprised at what John Rogers is willing to do. And then I think at times he was just finding out how far I might go, or it's almost like if someone keeps throwing you balls, and it's like, how many of those can you catch before you drop one? I think I dropped a few, but that's okay. You might want to be around to see what that's like when I drop the ball. It looked like you were having a blast. Yes, what happens when the traveler consciousness comes into the opportunity to be with us, in all the ways it does that, it's very unpredictable from my experience. Almost like anything could happen, except something really bad, terrible, mean and nasty. I'd say, no, we don't do that. So it's something uplifting, and it can be a lot of fun. There is a lot of laughter. So if you are interested in that aspect of what's it like facilitating with John Roger, we got some of that. Was there anything magical also happening off camera? There's some kind of vacancy here when I try to look at what was off camera. I don't have any memory, but I would tell you that's another aspect. Somebody picked up on this that I would relate to, of being around John Roger, working with John Roger, and then being involved with the mystical traveler consciousness. Whoever's facilitating, whoever is around, physically participating, if we're open to that consciousness, it is magical. How were you able to hold the energy together while Jer was going off so much? Well, let's say at times I was on the floor, or the floor of the stage at least. I'm not making that up, so that happened. And it's something I just look at, that if you are willing to come into that consciousness, a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about when you've done sharing at a workshop conducted by the traveler in a personal way. Let's call that John Roger, and I'll include John Morton. But really any minister who's open to allowing that expression through the traveler consciousness, then it's game on, the light is on, the full power is on, so it can be something beyond what we know. It can be often something unfamiliar, but also very rich and full in how the experience comes forward. How can a participant get the most out of the workshop? Well, the most important part is that you show up, you do participate. I don't know another way to get the most out of the workshop other than that, and it's set up for your participation. So the value is toward those who are participating, those who are studying and practicing what we're doing. It's set up to deliver maximum value to you. And if you do participate fully with an openness to go along with the exercises, even if it's unfamiliar to you, maybe it seems awkward. Sometimes people have some concerns, like a worry, a doubt, a fear. That's okay, that's very human. It doesn't really stop what we're doing, but it does in some way influence what we're doing. So we encourage you to be open and have the experience. We also give you plenty of opportunity to share your experience. That can be in partnership exercises. It can be having a journal that you write in very personally about your own experience. We do a process we call sharing, where the whole group gets to participate with someone's sharing of their experience. Often the traveler will have a response, some level, especially answering questions. And if there are concerns, we welcome them. We address them openly, honestly. What is the value of the sacred tones? That would be something like immeasurable, but as much value as there is in what is God doing with us in this creation. How do we access God consciousness? How do we tune into who we are as a soul, develop our spiritual awareness? The sacred tones are keys. They're also charged. They're charged first spiritually. So we're working with spiritual light, spiritual consciousness, and then it can also work with magnetic light and the various aspects of our consciousness. That includes the unconscious level, the mental level, the causal level, which is emotional, the astral level, which is imagination, and the physical level, which is all kinds of things in our material nature, our life in this world. There's a value in all those levels, but primarily the value is your soul consciousness and how to develop that awareness.